Do you have some cookies to bake or something? No, I don't. In fact, I have hanging above my sink in my kitchen. I'm in my kitchen right now. And above it, my family gave me this beautiful art piece that says, I only have a kitchen because it came with the house. So no, I don't have any cookies to bake. If I did, nobody would eat them because I've never been much of the cooking kind. Not that I wouldn't, no, I don't, to answer your question. But I understand why so there's only two reasons you're saying this. One is you just want to make me look like an idiot. Or two, it's because you're totally lost by my video, which I can understand. People probably, when I start talking about the Scotland stuff and the lineage of Donald Trump and the McLeods, it can get really overwhelming for people and them just be like, what the F? I get it. But here's the thing. There's no army, there's no administration, there's no man that can come in and clean this all up. Like, yeah, I'm not saying Donald Trump can't, but come on. We have millions of people in our country illegally right now. It will take a long time to deport all those people. I know Donald Trump says he'll come in and do it right away, but, like, what is right away? Even if you have the entire army to do it and you have everybody set up, we have so many corporations, institutions, the government. We have more people that have gone along with the sick communist manifesto agenda with the globalists, then that's overwhelming in itself. So to try to take all that on, I see the only way that we will have a chance of getting out of this is it'll take an act of God, which is what brings me back to the Hebrides all the time, because the Hebrides in Scotland, they had a revival. The older people, like Marianne McLeod, Donald Trump's mother, those two old aunts of hers were in their 80s. And they, along with some others, saw that Scotland was, especially the Hebrides, where everybody had forgotten God. And the more that had fallen away from God, the more their economy tanked, the more people's happiness tanked, the more there was no aliveness in the country or in the people. And so they knew on the face of it that there was nobody that could fix it except God. So they didn't do anything except plead to God, the same way that the Israelites pleaded to God when they were in Egypt in the book of Exodus. And they're pleading up to God, please, please save us, please. That's all they did was plead to God, please save us, please come and save us. And it often takes a lot of pleading, praying. And then God ends up hearing you. It floats up there. I know this world has made everybody think, oh, some genie in the sky. No, it's not a genie. It's the Creator. And given how much we've been lied to about things, especially by the science itself, I think that it's a good time to step outside the box, not sit around baking cookies. I mean, I get it's Christmas, but really? Like, people need to realize that we need an intervention by God. And God intervened for the Israelites. He does it all in the Bible many times. But it takes the people having to realize it because they fell away. Because God, whether this world has taught everybody that, oh, that God thing is so silly, God doesn't raise up the kings. Well, if you sit down and read the Bible, you find out that that's more truthful and is more factual, and there's more evidence for everything that's happened in that book than any science on this planet. But nobody wants to pick it up and read it. You don't even have to read it front to back. Just open it up a page and see what you think. Couple pages, see how you can apply it to exactly what's going on now, because it's the repeating story. Yeah, the same thing that happened to the Israelites happened all through history. Everybody falls away from God, they forget God, and then as they forget God, their country goes in the tank. They end up being, in some cases, handed over to their enemies, which in some cases we have been, because this communism has been coming in slowly in small increments over time, which is why we have more and more government all the time, more and more institutions, associations, regulators telling us we have to do this, we have to do that, and people are miserable on top of being miserable because of being under all that tyranny of unions, associations, government, everybody saying you have to do it this way, that way, blah, blah, blah. We have inflation, which is the hidden tax, trying to destroy people too. So it's clearly obvious that there's not any one person that can take on the globalists, although I'll give Donald Trump credit, he really did. I mean, he woke a ton of American people up. But I think it will take an intervention by God. And I think the very fact that Donald Trump ended up getting in right at the nick of time, because some of us wouldn't be here today if Hillary had gotten in. Let's face it. Not with her and Obama's agenda. So most of the leaders we've had have not had good intentions for this country, or they're weak and they sell out. So Donald Trump, right at the nick of time, like God was throwing us down a Hail Mary, so to speak, of all the people that God raises up, because God, just like in countries where they have kings and queens, you can think of America as, we just call it presidents, right? That's what we call it instead of kings. So God raises up the presidents, and it's always based on the people. So if the people have fallen too much away from God, and what matters to God is God's law, not what the Supreme Court law or the legislators make, because a ton of their laws are stupid. But God says, go ahead, if you want to live under that nonsense, it's fine. But you need to adhere to my laws. That's what's most important. So when the people end up falling away from that too much, then the country just goes into darkness. And that's where we have been plummeting into. And there needs to be an intervention by God. So it's just kind of funny that the very clan that Donald Trump's lineage ties back to is the two old aunts that brought revival back to the Hebrides, the very place where Clan MacLeod, which is Trump's lineage, is, and brought so much revival back. It wasn't just people praying. It was literally just like in Egypt. Eventually, God came down and used Moses, yes, but did many other acts when they were in the desert whining and complaining, when he took them out of their slavery. It was a literal God coming down. So, given that happened in Egypt, but then also in the Hebrides, and everything changed. Like, have you looked at some of the Isle of Skye pictures, or Dunvegan Castle, or anywhere in the outer or inner, anywhere in the Hebrides or Scotland at all? Do you see how absolutely beautiful it is? I mean, talk about there being a heaven on earth. That looks like heaven on earth when I see those pictures. The sky, the water, the old castles, all of it. And yet they were the strongest and biggest warriors in history, because their lineage goes back probably one of the farthest, because it goes back before Jesus even walked the earth. So, given that Trump comes from a lineage of Scots and of the direct lineage where they brought revival, because his lineage is to the Hebrides, and his mother gave him the same Bible that those two old aunts gave his mother, she gave to Donald, then it should be an obvious one that God is trying to raise the flags. Like, do you see that you need to look to a more heavenly source to help you out here? So that's the reason. I know some people may get lost, but the point is, we are in deep over our heads. And in my opinion, and I think many people would agree, it'll take an act of God. The same way it took an act of God for the Israelites to be saved, the same way the Hebrides would be saved is an act of God. And it took the people having to look to God to get it. And look at Scotland now. Look at how they blossomed because they made it happen, and all through prayer and looking to God.